Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Friday, another Hummingbot Live. And today we're going to do something interesting, right? So uh, we are going to try to build a strategy. Yeah, build a new strategy from scratch. So a bit of background here. I know a bit of Python. I have been learning a lot more lately to help the team as best as I can. And on the past, I was able to create some scripts, right? So I do have some knowledge about how the scripts work and things like that, but I haven't created a strategy by myself, a customized strategy, right? Yet. So today's the day we're going to go through it, and I'm going to actually learn how to create a proper strategy, and hopefully I'll get some help from you guys. So if I if I do something that didn't work, and if you know what I'm doing wrong, so please let me know in the chat so I can make it the proper way, right? So, but before we begin, let's go through a bit what happened on the week. Right. So first news: 21 new pairs launched as liquidity mining campaign on SNX. Right. So there is a lot of cool stuff there. A lot of major coins, as you can see on the icons that are here. And yeah, make sure to take a look. That is probably something, some project there that you like, that you could be interested in participating on liquidity mining. If you have been waiting for some project, some cryptocurrency that you like to be available. So make sure to check what's new. There's a lot in there. We have a blog post with more details on it, so make sure to check our blog. Right, next one, we have published another liquidity mining recap. So we hit 2 billions of open order volume. So there's a lot of cool stuff there. I won't go too much in detail, so I don't take too much time of the stream, because I think that I might need some time to properly learn how to create the strategy. But there's a lot of information of what have been happening on the liquidity mining side of our platform. So make sure to check it on a blog for all the full and interesting and great details we have there. And last but not least important is that we will be launching the dYdX bounty campaign, bounty hunt, right? So also all the details on the blog post. Make sure to check it to be sure that's understood. So the important thing here is that the bounty will officially start when we have the next release launch, right? So we're expecting to have this release around. We have to delay a bit. Some fixes we had to do before shipping it live, but before the mid of the next week, it's the expected date for the release to arrive. So, right, since this is the thing and you are looking for something interesting to do with your user development knowledge, so make sure to check this bounty. There's some interesting not prices, sorry. There's some interesting prizes there for the developers to create some cool ideas, and we are always excited to see what are the interesting theories and thoughts that our community have for new and different strategies. So all rules are there on the blog post: how to participate, how to submit your participation, how to create a PR, how you're going to be part of this competition, and the rules, dates, everything is there. So make sure to check it out, how to do how to participate, right? So, and also, as always, our teams are on the Discord. We have the developer channels there, so where our community of developers help each other to do their crazy ideas. And if you aren't on Discord, make sure to join the Discord and join the discussion, right? All right, so that's it for news. Let's go into main topic of the day, right? Let me just go show you something first that is coming with the release that I have to say a lot of you probably really excited about it. Let me just check where it went. What happened here? Docs, where are my docs? Come on. Don't do this to me, guys. There we go. Here we are. Right? Let me just do some adjustments to fit the page. Right. So with the new release, we will be shipping also a new documentation page, right? We know we have been lacking a bit on that part, especially for developers, because our documentation is a bit outdated lately. We haven't taken too much time to update it, but we are doing it now, and we will be launching a new docs portal. So this is still just a preview, and as you can see, we have a tab that's specifically for developer informations. So our plan is to improve even more this strategy, because the goal here is that to make it easier to everyone to go into the docs and learn how to create their own strategies, how to develop their own strategies, and use Hummingbot as the base of whatever you are thinking on, make it run on the cryptocurrency markets, right? So for this live stream, what I'm gonna do is that this is the preview. We might have some changes when we release, but this is pretty much what's going to be there. So what I'm going to do is that we have right here on the strategies, we have a tutorial how to create a strategy, right? So on the past, we did another live stream with one of our devs. We went through all the steps to how to create the strategies, how to prepare first steps to make a new strategy. And we are going to add on the next release with the new portal, documentation portal, this tutorial that's a bit more in details how anyone can start creating strategy, what are the files needed, and things like that. So the plan for this live stream is that I follow this one strategy, correct? So I can make the first steps to get ready. It might be possible that I won't be having a full strategy at the end of this live stream, but what I want to achieve is at least have the framework where I'm going to create my strategy ready, right? So if I don't have enough time to implement my ideas, I promise that we will be coming back to it to go a bit deeper on the strategy creation. So let's call this part 1 of strategy creation then, right? So first, let's go just a bit. Some pre-planning about creating this strategy, right? So what do we need to do? Let me get into our GitHub very quick. So the first thing that is usually a good idea for you to do is to fork the repository, right? So most of you guys probably know how to do it, but there's a small, for those that doesn't know, there's a small thing here that you can click and you create a copy of the repository, and you can play around whatever you want. You can break things, you can create new things, and you can do that. So what I did earlier is that I created my own fork, right? So I'm going to be working on it. So I can kind of try anything that I want to try right there. Let me find it here. And so that's basically what I'm going to do. So you kind of separate what you're working on from the main repository, and keep things a bit more organized. If later your strategy works fine and you're happy with it, if you wanted to contribute to the code base, we always welcome that. So you can create a PR to the main repository, to where our team will review and emerge as if every time something cool comes from the community. So keep on sending PR, guys, please. We love that. Right, so what else? Let's now get back a bit to the overview of the tutorial. So we have how to create a strategy, right? By the way, let me know how is the sound, how's the connection, how is the everything that I'm showing the live stream. So if something goes wrong, let me know so I can fix in time so you guys don't miss anything that I'm doing here, right? Okay, so let's start here with the introduction, and we have the follow the developer starter guide. So this is where it goes a bit about how to fork the repository and the basic stuff before start doing, right? After the installation, something that I already did here, I have, let me just go right now. Okay, so the my fork is already here on my computer, right? So everything that's on the code, it's updated to the last development branch. So you might see some things that are not necessarily on the master branch, right? I'm going to work on it, right? So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use this platform, the PyCharm, because I start to learn how to use it, and it is already here. Let me just adjust the size of it. Also, let me know if you guys can see the code or what I'm working on good enough. So if not, I can try to increase the size of it, right? All right, so what we need here to do inside PyCharm, getting back to the docs, to the tutorial. First step is that I need to create a strategy, right? So what do I need to create the strategy? The first step to have the proper files, because the way that the Hummingbot core is structured, there is a few files that are required for the main module, the core base of the bot to recognize that file as a strategy, right? So, okay, so first we create a directory with it. Let me check, where do I create it? Sorry, here. Okay, so inside the Hummingbot instance, inside the strategy directory, I create the director of my strategy, right? So back to PyCharm. And here, where do we go is inside Hummingbot and inside strategy. So here, create the directory where I will add my strategy files. So new, let's create directory and let's name it new strategy. New strategy, right? All right, so we have the place where we're going to add other files. Step 2. What we need to do is to create 4 files, right? So each of them have, like I mentioned, is a purpose and important a naming convention. So the name of the files, it needs to be exactly these, because these names are the ones that are recognized by the bot. So let's create them. Right? So let me get back here by Charm, a new file. If you want to do things by the command, you see that there is a by the command line. There's also how to do it, right? So we need new strategy, new strategy.py. Then it's a bit different here. This okay. So one small detail here, right? So because on the tutorial, the name of the strategy that's been created is limit order, right? So so when you see here limit order and here limit order.py, what happen is that you need to, these names need to be the name of your directory strategy to be recognized, right? So new strategy.py. Next one will be next name, new file, limit, oh no, not limit, but new strategy config map .py. Next one, start.py, new file. Don't freeze on me, please. Okay, and init.py, new file, 2 underlines, init, 2 underlines, .py. Right, so we have the 4 files inside the strategy, right? So we are ready to start telling the strategy file what needs to be done. Okay, so what do we have now? We need to create strategy configuration template. Let's go a bit here. We define the user configure parameters like the strategy files unfolded, the template file also follows the convention. Okay, so a bit about what each of them do. Let's go a bit through it, why each one's important to have. So the first one is underline init.py. It exposes your strategy, right? So basically it's the code that goes with the initiation of the strategy, I guess. So what happened is that when you load your strategy, what is going to happen is that on this init, on this file, whatever it is in here, we are doing, we are telling about what to do when the strategy is initialized. Okay, so for anyone that's watching, please correct me if I do something that is not right. Okay, so all right, so it exposes strategy. So let's paste the following code on using the code editor. Let's see what we have. So from .limit order, import limit order. Okay, so what is here? All fields. All right, so I guess this is going to be the name of the strategy, correct? So let me get back here. All right, so we have an import. Since so the name of our strategy isn't limit order, the new strategy, let's go with that. New strategy. And we want to import limit order. Doing everything right. Oh, check. Mean that we are pulling this from where? Name limit order. Okay, I hope this. All right, so where the all fields used to expose the public model limit order for use. Okay, so let me see if I'm correct. I think that here what we're doing is that we are adding, making the initialization of the strategy, the limit order being public and being exposed for the rest of the code to correct, right? So again, let me know if I'm telling something that isn't exactly correct. So next file is going to be limit order config map. So what is going to happen there? What you're going to do with new strategy config map? This is what we're going to do, because this file here means that the config map file is user prompt the set of strategy parameters, right? So that means that this is what's going to appear when we type the config command, right? So this is the template that tells the bot what are going to be the configuration that I will be able to change, right? So let's see what we have here. We have from Hummingbot client, that's the core of the code. We're going to import the config var, right? So, and then it returns a market prompt that incorporates the connector value set by the user. Okay, so this is connector limit order config map connector value return enter the trading pair of connector. Right? So this is basically asking what's the connector and what's the pair. So this is the configuration that matters to the strategy, tell where the strategy will work, right? So I guess that's probably required for everything that we have as connector. Okay, list the parameters defined by the strategy. So here, limit order config map. So in the case, we're going to call new strategy config map. And here is where we tell what are going to be the configuration and what's going to be asked when we type the configuration, right? So, okay, so step here. Let's get back then. As Michael is saying, need to change the folder to limit. Okay, so yeah, okay, but yeah, you're right. Let's go exactly what we have in the code for now. Let me just change the name here. My idea was at first to try to use our tutorial as a base to kind of do a bit of twist, but yeah, it makes sense that we start following the tutorial exactly. So let's rename the files, right? And rename limit order, rename, and get back to init. Yeah, because it is naming. I was supposed to change this one, right? I guess that's it. Because this is the name of the strategy. Okay, let's get back to the following the strategies as it shows. So just to show, I changed the name of the files to match the tutorial, so we can make sure that everything works at the end, right? So since this is the first time, I will try some new stuff later. Getting back to the tutorial, right? Right, so limit order config map. Let's get back to what we have. So here we have the telling the configuration that we need to set the strategy, set the connector, and in here we have the list of parameters. So let's take this code. What we have here, and where are you? Limit order config map. Okay. In here we are importing the config var model as config var. Okay, so here is where it's used. So each config variation, each config variable, it's now have a key, that's the name of the configuration, a prompt that will be asked if you want to change the configuration, and the default of the file. Okay, so prompt to new, another interesting here. This tag where you add on the configuration, prompt to new, what I think it means is that when you create a new strategy using this type of strategy, right? What's going to happen is that when you type the command create limit order, on this case, everything that's marked as prompted on true will be asked at the moment you type the creation, right? Next, what do we have to do? Parameter file, a map as key pair value, okay? So each field use config var method to accept parameters. Okay, so config var is variable that you can use to control the trading behavior of the bot. Okay, so makes sense. It's what I did. So what I said. Key parameter identifies the field. So this is where we go with the type config, what we see on the config, right? While the prompt, let's choose what's the prompt method. What's going to be asked if we type config and the name of the parameter. That will be the key. If you include prompt to new, the prompt will be asked each time you create new strategy. So yeah, okay, so I guess that's right. Or otherwise, it will only be displayed when you configure the parameter on config. Okay, so if you set this to new, it'll be asked exactly when you create new strategy, right? So What we use means that we identify the strategy, right? So it's this part here. We identify the strategy as limit order, correct? So the strategy field identify the trading strategy, limit order. Okay, similar to, we use connector to prompt the name of the exchange and the market field of the prompt for the trading pair or that trade. Note that the prompt of market use a function, what use the value of the connector set by the user in the previous question. Right. So this is where the main question, where your strategy, where you're going to run your strategy. So this is kind of needed required filter in this part of the book. So additionally, you can supply validators parameters to ensure only accepted values are entered, and you can use the default parameters to supply the default value. Okay, so if we want to limit what can be added to the strategy, you can um, set limits to it. So, for example, if the configuration is only it's only about, you can only change numbers, integers. So you can set this inside the configuration file, how to limit it, right? So you don't end up entering a text, a string where it's required an integer or another type of parameter, right? Okay, so next file, start.py. Let's see what we have here. Start to initialize the configuration for the strategy. Right, so my guess here is that when we hit start, this is what the bot will read first, right? So there's the moment we hit start after we created the strategy and we set the configurations, what it's inside this code is going to be run first, right? So let's add the serial part of the start.py. Here we have start.py, and here we are, right? So again, from the core, we import another model, the market trading pair tuple, the limit order. So this is basically, we are importing what we did here inside init, where we're naming the models limit order, right? Where was I? Start.py. And from here, we are also importing the configuration map. So naming it as CMap. Right? So let's see what we have. Let's see if I can guess what's the result here. So when start, it's assigning to variables their values. So it's taking from the configuration file, the configuration map, what's the value of the connector that we have there, and what's the market. It initializes the market, right? So my guess here is that this part, when we hit the start, the configurations file is going to try to make the first connection with the exchange and that specific market. And here we have basic code. So what's doing is that it's taking the value that we enter in the market and is splitting into different variables. So let me just add here, let's say its market is BTC USD. What's happening here is that we assign BTC to base and USD to code, right? So the moment we start the strategy, that's what happened. Market info is information about the market. So we are pulling this information from the connector. So this comes from the exchange, right? Market trading per tuples is also market info. Okay. Sub strategy limit orders. So this is we are assigning what's the strategy with inside what market the strategy is working. Okay, so that's my guess for that part. I hope I'm right. Let's check what we have in the docs. Docs. In the above code, connector variable store the exchange name. Right, so this is where we pulled from the configuration. Whereas the market store the trading pair. So like I mentioned, it's storing here is the BTC-USDT the name of the market, the name of the pair. So market trading tuple object accepts the exchange name, the trading pair, the base asset, and the code asset for this parameter. So if I remember correctly from what I learned on Python, tuples is a type of variable that can be changed, right? So that means that when you start, you are storing these values, the exchange name, the trading pair, the base asset, and the code asset on the tuple. That means that these values are going to be fixed, right? So you won't be able to change it inside your code because they are tuples. Correct me, anyone, any of the developers, if I'm wrong on that part. Okay, so this information allows us to initialize the limit order object. So this means that we are creating, initializing the object we created on the init part of the code, right? Right, I guess that makes sense. We are, the steps so far here, from my understanding, is that we kind of prepare what's the name of the strategy inside the init file. Get back here. So on the init, we kind of are telling the bot what's the name of strategy, what defines the strategy. On the config map, we added what can be changed, what are the variables that the trader will be possible to make changes to, right? And on the start, we are telling the bot what it needs to be done when we type start inside the Hummingbot client. So it assigns the variables to the configuration, whatever it exists on the config map, to the variables, so the strategy can use them. And we also fix what's the market information. So what's the exchange, what's the pair, what's the base, what's the code, right? These are the four we are saving inside market info. Okay, I guess that makes sense. Hope I didn't said anything wrong here. Next file, limit order.py. So this is the specifics of the specific file that are the instructions of the strategy. So what your strategy should be doing when something happens. Right? All right, so let's copy this and see what we have. Back here, inside limit order, get back my ID and here. All right, so let me take a look. Let me try to guess the result. So we are importing decimal. Is this a library for proper formatting the numbers you're going to use in the strategy, so that it can be better understood by the exchange side. So we have logging because we need to see report what's happening with the strategy. If something goes wrong, we need to log what went wrong and figure out to fix it later. So we're also importing core events, order type. So my guess is that this is the object that's telling what kind of order we want to create. So from the strategy market trading pair tuple. So this is importing the trading pair tuple to use that configuration we did, right? That setup we did on the start where we add the tuple here, right? So we're going to use this. So we need to import the library that handles it. We have the logger and we have the Pybase. So this, if I'm not wrong, the strategy Pybase library is what it's the shape of the strategy. So you need this library to make it work in a way that the core part of the client identify it, the proper functions and calls that needs to be done. All right, so what else we have? We have a class limit order strategy Pybase. Right, so as what we're doing here is that we take this class that we're naming limit order, that's the name of the strategy, and we are applying the base class to it. So we're taking the structure from the strategy base, and we are using it as a frame to the strategy we are creating. So we use strategy base to inherit the structure. Right? So we also create a logger before adding a constructor. Okay, so class method, we define logger. Okay, so this is where we set the logger object. On here, init, we are doing what here? I guess we are taking the, I am not sure. We need to get back to the tutorial to see what's happening here. This is also starting variables. So we start with saying that the connector is not ready, where at some point we're going to check and change this as needed. We have another completed that's also false. So 2 flags to check the state of both the connector and the order we'll be creating. So at markets, not 100% sure what's happening here. So what we have next is, all right, so yeah, basically what do here, we are initializing the variables, what the variables are going to be used on the strategy. Right? So after initialize, we need to define the tick method. Tick method is the entry point of the strategy. So the tick is defined currently at 1 second. So every second was happen, if I'm not wrong, is that on every second a tick happens, and what's happening, what we have added inside the tick is what will be executed by the client, right? So that's my guess. We're going to check it on the tutorial that we have. So there's a lot of stuff here. What else do we have? Connector ready, checking if the connector is ready, if it's possible to create orders with the connector. So this is where that first flag we are going to use. So if connector is not ready, it logs, send a log message, connector is not ready, and return. So what else if it's ready? It's going to tell us that everything's okay, trade can start. Right. So if there is no completed order, so to get mid price, method gets the mid price of the coin, okay, and store it. This method is derived from the market trading tuple class. Okay, so what we're doing is that we are pulling from the exchange what's the mid price and assign it to a variable called mid price. So yeah, since we started false, this will exactly be triggered when you start the bot. So we currently get the first mid price. Next part, it's okay. So run with specific market maker. Oh yeah, I changed the name of the strategy there already. Oh yeah, the folder. Right, the folder. Thanks for remembering that. Factor, rename, limit order. I forgot about that one. That's what I mentioned, that every the name convention should follow, or else the strategy won't work, right? So we have the name of the strategy the same as the name of the folder, right? So the buy with specific market method, buy with specific market method executes the trade for you. So this means that this is where the trade are going to happen, right? So it's a method that defines the execution of the order creation, right? Self buy with specific markets. So I'm not exactly sure. So yeah, okay. So here we have the information, the tuple that we store when we start the strategy. That reminding it's the exchange, the trading pair, the base asset, and the code asset. So we have an amount that will be the size, I guess, of the trade, the type of order. So if it's going to be a limit order, we're going to create, and what's the price? Okay, so this is my guess here is that this is the information that we're going to send the exchange, right? So we're going to tell the exchange to execute an order at this market, at this amount, at this order type, and at this price, right? So, okay, so when this happens, when an order is created, the logger is going to tell us that an order was submitted. with the identification of it. All right, so, and then if after an order is created, it returns and it makes the order completed true. So what's happened is that this won't happen again, right? So when the tick happens, if this will be set to true, so this loop of creating orders won't be happening again, right? So that's the what's going to happen here, what I'm expecting to happen. All right, so here when the order completes, so did the buy order complete? So this is an event. What I remember is that the core of the control points, let's call it like that, inside the strategy, where the strategy is checking if something happened or not, are called the events. So I know we have the tick. The tick is one event. I know we have the complete by order is another event, and there is a lot of other events that can be used. So I let me check. Let me see if I remember another one. I think there's an event for order created, so where you can define what's the logic. Let's say if after an order is created, right? So there's a lot of them. I have to remember where exactly they are on the code, but if I'm not wrong, they're going to be here on the strategy py base, right? So we can get back to check it later. And so, yeah, if an order happened, what's telling here is that if the buy order is executed, is completed, is filled, what's going to tell me, the bot's going to tell me that your limit buy order have been executed. So this side here will only happen, will only be, as this part of the code will only be executed if the order is completed, if the buy order is completed, right? So, okay, right, that makes sense for now. Let's get back to the tutorial, see what we have there. Tutorial, what do you tell us? Okay, so check the market pair tuple class for more methods to add to a bot. Okay, so this is, we have some links to, if you want to go a bit more specific, understand more. So let's take a look what the market trading pair tuple class does. Yeah, okay, so here's the code. There's a link to the code, and we have all the methods and everything that can be done with the market pair tuple. So we can have what? Check order bid entries, ask entries. So it means you can look at the order book. We can price for volume, view up for volume. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. I can't tell right now exactly each of them do, but I promise I'll figure out what they do and bring to you guys what each of these methods do. All right, so what else? Both strategy PyBase class that we mentioned. Let's check the code. Like I mentioned, all the methods that, as I showed here, the did complete by order are probably going to be here, right? So on the strategy PyBase. Let us check if I'm right. All right, here he is. Did complete by orders, right? So that means that everything that can be done on the strategy, every commands, every event, not commands, every event that can be tracked and added a logic to it, you can check exactly here on this part of the code. That is the base of the strategy, correct? So there's also a lot of stuff. So we have the create sell order. Like I mentioned, you can take this part and run some logic right after an order is created. So you can make a log, or I don't know, create a 10 more orders later. I don't know. That's up to you. And if there is a few of the order, if some problem happens, if the order is canceled, if the order expire, and yeah, there's still some stuff here. Again, we'll try to look more into detail about each one on a later opportunity. I can try to bring it to be more specific. Right, so what else do we have here? Config limit order strategy template.iml. Right, so we need a fifth file. conf limit order strategy to build. Oh, so we also need an additional file inside the templates folder, okay, which acts as a placeholder for the strategy parameters. All right, so let's see what we have here on the templates. Hummingbot templates. Hummingbot and templates. So let's keep the strategy open so we don't. All right, templates. So we have the .iml file. So what we need to do is create another IML file that is telling us some placeholders to be recognized by the bot as a placeholder for the strategy parameters. So from my experience from the bot, these templates, after you create the strategy, these templates are saved, right, as the configuration file of that strategy. So you are going to have, when you later you go to load the strategy inside the bot, what's happening is that you load the .iml file, and what you're doing is that you are just setting what's the template of that save, that configuration save file, right? So we need a new, let's create the new file here. New Python file, not Python file. New file we're going to create is conf limit order templates.iml. So as you can see, every one of them have the template at the end. So this is the conf, name of the strategy, template. Okay, so all right, and what we need to have here, we need to have the template of the configuration, right? So this is what's going to be saved. So we have the version, strategy, connector, and market. Right, cool. So if we get back to the configure the map, you can see that we have the parameters strategy, connector, and market. What we're doing here is that we are creating the base file for the configuration. So that can be changed directly by the user if he wants to, and that's going to be read by the bot the first time you open the strategy again. After you exit the bot, you load the strategy. It's going to read this .iml file. So we have the same things that we have here on the config map, we have here on the limited part. Right, next. This is ready to go. Let's see here, and template. Name convention, as I mentioned, is conf strategy name, strategy template. All right, so I guess the strategy is ready to go. Let's see if something good happened or if I messed something up. Okay, so now we create the strategy. Let's run it into paper trading mode. Right. So let me just start my bot. Okay, so yeah. Oh, sorry. So it's been bot .py. I should have. Oh, on the right side. I don't know. Yeah, tap it more. Right, so yeah, I should have started it earlier. What happened? Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, detail. As always, it's always a good practice that after you create a strategy, even though they are on Python, not necessarily on Python, it's always good that you recompile your files, right? So your source code, and so you don't get any surprise like I did there. And so, okay, let's compile it. And we had to wait a few seconds to have it running and finish. Right, so as it's compiled, oh yeah, activate Hummingbot. Sorry. Indeed. I forgot to activate. Small but important details, or else you don't have the right environment to. Let me clean up again. You don't have the right environment libraries to make the bot. And now on the right place, and we start to compile. Right. Okay. So I guess it will work now. Exactly as Michael said. If you run from source, you have to have the Conda environment ready and with the proper libraries that are needed and required to run the bot. Right? Well, hope everything went fine. So as the files compile, let me just talk a bit about what's my plan here, right? So we are reaching 1 hour of live stream, so it's a lot of time spent already. So this is just the beginning. I know that you guys always ask for more development related content. So what I'm going to try to do, starting on this one, is that make this kind of a series where I will go through, let's say, I'll think about some easy strategy, some simple strategy, and I'm going to try to make it work inside Hummingbot and implement it and try new things every time, every new live stream related to this, right? So let me know if it makes sense for you guys to do this, and if so, yeah, I'll try to see you on one of the next live stream. We're going to announce it and tell beforehand, and try to go a bit beyond of what we just did here. That's the what we do is that we kind of just created the starting setup to make a strategy work. What is essential? What's the files? What's the basic stuff that needs to be on the code to create a strategy? So yeah, the plan there for the next one live streams is to I'll come up with some simple strategy and try to make something interesting. Right? So it's going to be fun, new to me, and always cool to learn new stuff. Like I mentioned, I created the script in the past. Wasn't hard. It was pretty cool to make it strategy directly using the classes and the methods that we have in the core. You open up a lot of more possible, a lot more of possibilities that you can use, right? So I would say that we have a pretty solid code base with events and functions and things that can be already called in a easier way. Right? So, but one of the things that we have also looking into and work to make it better is that at some point, what will be interesting, what we see so far that could be interesting, is that we make the creation of a strategy as simple as it is possible to create the script, but without the limitations of the script, right? So that's what kind of the goals we have been discussing lately. How do we make it easier and more streamlined to create customized strategies where the trader can have his focus more on the logic of the strategy, right? Instead of having to go through all the small details to make be sure that the strategy work properly. So that's something that we are working on, and is also something that we need to hear a lot from you guys. What you guys think could work? What your ideas? How can we make strategy more streamlined, easier, and faster to implement? And yeah, so as always, we love to hear your feedback, especially on this new stuff that we are trying to rework, to create, to build. And we need to know what you guys need so we can make proper tools for you to use, right? So or else we it's like we don't want to spend time on creating things that are not useful for the users, right? So it doesn't make sense that we create some cool feature that at the moment we thought it was really cool, it would do something awesome, but when you, the users, the ones that are using Humbot every day, are doing your trading every day, your strategies, look into it, you don't use it, right? So it's important to us to understand what do you guys need, right? So what you think are actually useful, right? So make sure to let us know. We have feedback. Reach me out on Discord. I'm always there. There's me. There's Mike. We are always open to hear new ideas, hear new thoughts, and yeah, that's it. It's part because without your feedback, without everything that we hear from the community, even though sometimes we might not necessarily answer at the exact moment that is there on the Discord. But we are always going through what's happening, the conversations, the idea, and it's awesome. It's awesome to have this kind of feedback coming from you, and also developers that contribute to the code. You are awesome, guys. You are awesome. You do a lot of cool stuff that improve and help us make Hummingbot client a great tool for traders. Right? So please keep doing that. We always love to see new PRs, new community PRs there. We might take some time to review and reach out to make it work, but we are always looking into it. Don't stop doing that. Right. So yeah, completion. It's a bit, but takes a lot of time. But it's part of the process, right? So let's hope I don't have to compile again. numbers. So what else? What else? Let me know on the chat. What else you guys want to know about? Want me to talk about? Yeah, another thing I forgot to mention. We published today another development diary, where as on the first one that I mentioned, our plan is that we want to make it more transparent how we're working, what we're working on, how we do the work, and also again hear from you. If you don't know yet, we also have a Reddit page. We are posting the developer diaries also on the Reddit page. It's r/hummingbot. So you can add whatever you think on there. Is another place that we are starting to look more into to hear about what you think and what you think would be cool. And yeah, let us know what you think there on the development diary post, so we can have this conversation with you and figure out what makes sense for the team to implement, what makes sense for the team to spend time working. Right. Right, come on, compile it already. That's the hard part. The worst part I hate when work on the code. It takes some time to compile. So yeah. All right. How many more minutes? Come on, help me up here. Right. Come on, guys. Come on. Help me out here. Few more minutes. I would guess what, 5 minutes, maybe. I hope so. All right. Okay, what should I do to entertain you guys as this compiles? Let me know. You want me to sing? I can sing. Oh, there it is, finally. Right, let's fire it up. Right. Yeah, this is the first time I'm starting this. With passwords, like that. Yeah, if you want to test it, your strategy, let me just check something as it start. All right, so compile the code, start the code, and here we are on the Hummingbot UI. What else do we have here? Yeah, let's run paper trading. Paper trading doesn't necessarily need you to add your API keys, right? Main interface, logger, input interface. So you guys already know that we have the logger. Everything we have will be happening here, and we go to the basic stuff to create a new strategy. It's slow today, my computer. No idea why. Maybe because I'm streaming. Oh yeah, we started. So let's get back to it. What? Uh, resize. Resize. And we're good to go. Okay, no password. Always good to set your password. Don't forget about that. And let's create the strat. As usual, run commands, create. Let's see if our strategy is there. And there it is, limit order. So it's a good start, right? So we at least we have the bot recognize that the strategy exists. Right, so that part of the code asking the connector. So let's use Binance. Pair, what pair it is the recommendation here, right? So Ethereum USDT. So let's go Ether USDT. New configuration file name. So yeah, let's keep it as default. So config limit order, right? And we have a new strategy. Let's activate paper trading mode. I have no idea what is today. Yeah, I think it's because of pressure arms open. Let me close this. I might have been getting some overload in the memory. Right, where are you? 1, 2, 3. Come on, come on, come on. Help me up here. Come on, man. Don't leave me hanging. Right, here we have strategy created. Let me just check one quick thing here, right? I'll show you guys in a minute. Let me just find the file directory where is the fork. It's here, and cool, I found it. Okay, so let me just add here to the share. Just 1 minute. Add a new window here, and exactly this button. So here's what happened. Create the order, the name of the file, the configuration. If I open this one, what you're going to see in here, that template, remember the template that we created? So what happened is that we are going to see exactly template. So we have template version, the strategy, the connector, and the market. So the template, what the template did was to create the frame of the configuration, right? So let's check. Oh, config paper trade, right? Config paper trade enable. Yes, of course. I didn't add any API keys here, so we need to do. And let's start. See what happens. What do you guys say? 1, 2, 3. Start. Right. Paper trade is on. Run the strategy. And there we go. It's working. Congratulations. Right. That's very cool. We have a log. Submitted order. Remember that we created on the code a log to every time a new order is submitted. So since this is paper trading, it's just simulated based on what's been collected information. So we are exactly creating the order here. So next one, let's do this. The first thing I'll do on the next live stream, where I get back to create the strategy, let's run it on a real exchange on live to see if it works correctly, right? So let's try that. So, and then remember that we had that event. Sorry about the the misspelling. We had on the code the event is by order completed. Right? So what, and there we added the log. So here is what happened. The order have been completed, the log is printed, and whatever logic it's on that part of the code related to that specific event is going to be executed. So I think that's a key part of making sense how to make the strategy work properly, is to understand what are these events. Sorry, yeah, my English is a bit rough today. So if you understand what are the events do, when they happen, and what happens, that you can create whatever logic you want uh, when they happen. Right? So I think this my guess as a first time strategy creator will be that the core of the strategy is about understanding what are the events and what logic you want to add to the connector, to the strategy file every time that happens. So yeah, our strategy didn't had too much loop happening. It just was supposed to create one order. So here's what we have. We have the information, we have the timestamp of the information about the order, what was the buy, what's the asset, what's the code, so everything that we collected from the exchange. So I guess everything went fine. Nothing else will happen here because there is no loop, there is no recheck on tick. If you wanted to have something, let's say, uh, when the price rises X, what I think we will be doing. Let me just get back to the tutorial so we can look at it. For example, tutorial here, get back a bit here inside the strategy. So let's say we want to measure the price. So if the price change by one tick, sorry, I'm not too confused here, but by 1 point. So what happened is that we would have to add a logic inside tick that will monitor the price and calculate what's different between the current price and the last price. So every tick, every second, the bot will be looking into what's the information, updating the calculations, right? So, and then if we want the loop to keep running, and every time certain difference happen on the price, here inside the not self order completed. So if there is no order, the bot tries to create an order. So if there is no order completed, my guess would be that it would try to create if on that tick. Yeah, yeah, probably. I don't know. So then if here we could add the logic of what not to do, what stop trading, keep looking for trades. We explore this a bit more in the future, right? So yeah, I guess that's it for today. It's a good start. The tutorial is going to be live with the next release that we are expecting to push around the mid of next week. So stay tuned to look into it. And another great thing about the docs, this new version of the docs, is that everything that's there is going to be on the main Hummingbot repository, right? So that means that it will be easier for anyone in the community to create their own tutorials if they want to contribute to anything related to the development docs. So it's a cool way to also grow and help each other around the community, right? So let's see. Let's expect to see. I expect to see some great contributions on the documentation too. Right? All right. So that's it for today. So I don't see many messages on the chat. So anything else you guys want to say before I wrap this up? And I'm not sure if we're going to continue this on next week. Maybe I have to check what's the plan for the next live stream. I haven't checked the calendar. But yeah, at some point we will get back to this strategy. I will come up with some idea and try to implement it by myself. Right? So as always a great pleasure to be here, talk about everything that's happening and try new stuff. So that was great. And see you guys. Bye. And keep in touch and find us on our Discord. Bye. Yeah.